In today's video, we're going to have a conversation about gospel music, and we're going to be talking about the business side of it as well. And I don't think many people are going to be ready for it.
This week on the Isaac Curry Show.
Maverick City outstreams the entire gospel industry combined.
I believe that.
By themselves.
I believe that.
If you add up every other artist's streams and you just compare it to Maverick City, they outstream everybody else combined. And what that is telling you is that clearly what they are doing is what people want to hear. Stop fighting the tide. People keep saying, we want choir music back. Choir music would have never died if people wanted to listen to it. We need to do more quartet. If people want to listen to quartet, it would still be a thing. Wow. You don't see, like, when people stop consuming something, they don't want it.
First off, they done get that boy show. Some of y'all like, hell nah. But heaven only knows what he gon' say. On any given day, it might be cray. Still gonna be at church on Sunday, yeah. It's about life and love and all of the above, yeah. Only God can judge, that ain't me. You can speak your truth, ain't nothing they can do. It's a safe space with Isaac Curry. Ooh-wee. The Isaac Curry Show. Yo, welcome back to the Isaac Curry Show! Yo, well, we promised to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help us God! I'm telling you right now, today is gonna be an amazing show, but before we get started, you know how we do it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I need y'all. Y'all been coming in, y'all been enjoying it, so hit the subscribe button, like it, and share it with everybody you know. We need your support, I appreciate that. Listen, I have the disruptor of all disruptors in the building today. This man, I'm telling you, y'all about to learn a side of him that for people who don't like him, don't know him, don't understand him, today is your show. I'm gonna make some people mad with this one, but some people gonna be like, I like it. Yo, here it is right here. Norman Jumphy is a visionary, entrepreneur, and CEO of Insignia Assets. He oversees Maverick City Music, Undivided Touring, 3 Diamond Entertainment, and Tribal Records. With no formal background in music, he became a 3-time Grammy Award winner, led multiple Billboard #1 albums, and revolutionized faith-based touring through partnerships with Live Nation, AEG, and WME. Grounded in faith and driven by innovation, Norman is reshaping the future of inspirational music on a global stage. Ladies and gentlemen, there's only one, and he's the man. Welcome to the Isaac Curry Show, Norman Jumphy! My man.
Hey, they wrote a good bio, bro.
Norman, thank you for pulling up, man.
Anything, I wasn't missing for the world.
Bro, you're a busy man. You're all over the world. You're changing people's lives. And I called up, first of all, Norman don't answer the phone much, and he don't respond to texts. I sent him one text and said, I'm doing my podcast, bro. I would love for you to pull up. He said, yep. That was all he said. Then I hit him a few legs. Hey, you still gonna do it? Yep. I hit him again. I said, hey, bro, it's coming up. Send me the info. I said, I need your bio. He didn't reply. Then I hit him again. Norman, I need your bio. He got his people on the phone. Hey, send Ike the bio. I said, we good? Yep. And he's in the building, man. I'm so happy to have you, man. This is an honor. I don't take it lightly. I know your time is valuable. My team is so grateful. Everybody was like, y'all think he gonna come? It was almost like they were scared. I was scared, Norman.
I'm coming. I don't do it. You know me, man. I'm a behind the scenes guy. I don't do a lot. And I don't talk a lot either. You know, so a lot of people don't even know who I am. But you know, if you ask me to do something, I'm gonna do it.
He always
do anything for me.
He's always come through for me. Man, let me see. Let's see where we begin. There's so much going on. Can you take us back to the beginning? How did you even get started in the music business?
Oh, that's a good one. So I had just graduated Georgia Tech. I went into like regular management consulting. But my sister married a gospel artist, Travis Green.
Yeah.
So
Dr. Travis and Jackie.
Yeah. So my sister is Dr. Jackie Green. My brother-in-law is Travis Green, Pastor Travis Green, down at Forward City Church in Columbia, South Carolina. And so like I knew what he did, but I didn't think it was no money in music. You know what I'm saying? Like not in Christian music.
Right.
You feel me? So I was doing my thing, they was doing their thing. And I, you know, like, I just would notice little things and I would speak on it. But at like one of his birthdays in like 2023, I said, I had prayed and I said when he started his church, I was gonna be there to like help him start it. And he was literally starting his church and I had got like I guess a word from God in the shower. He was like, you need to go to Columbia. And so I called Travis and I was like, yo, man, what you got going on? He's like, bro, crazy. We start the church this weekend. Y'all should come down. So I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Now I just got a promotion at work and everything. So I started driving from Atlanta to Columbia every day. So we would drive 7 hours to go to church in Columbia, but we lived in Atlanta.
Right.
And so we did that for probably like a year. Me and my wife, we would go to 6 a.m. prayer, everything. We leave at 2 o'clock in the morning, get up at 6 a.m. prayer, all of that. So that's kind of like that show. I guess that kind of showed to him like how dedicated of a type person that I was.
Sure.
But I think at the time he was managed by somebody named, he was managed by Monica Bacon at the time, and he had a song called Made Away.
Right.
But they didn't have a video for it. And I called him, I was like, why you don't got a music video? He's like, what you mean? I was like, why don't you have a music video? It's your biggest song. He's like, I don't know, the label hasn't done one. So we called a meeting, went to the label. This is when I met Phil, Gabby, and all of them.
Right.
So my first meeting, we flew to Nashville. I had hired this attorney named Denise Brown Henderson. And we went down to the label. I ain't say nothing the whole meeting. I just sat in the meeting and listened. Let everybody else talk. Monica was talking about this tour she was doing called the Worship Tour. It didn't end up happening. I mean, it didn't end up happening. Y'all didn't have people at that time that knew what they was doing. But so I sit in the meeting, and so I started thinking. I really got an understanding of what the lack was in the gospel industry. So from there, you know, what was. I started working at the church pretty much full time. I did it I did it as like a volunteer for like a year. Okay. You know what I mean? Because me and my wife, we had done well for ourselves. My wife still had a job, and that's kind of like the start, the genesis of me like coming into music was my brother-in-law Travis and working at the church.
I'll never forget you managing Travis once you took over. And one of the biggest things y'all did was Travis did Donald Trump's inauguration the first term. And Travis caught some flack, but he came out unscathed. He came out no scars from it. His career took off, and you were behind the scenes and you navigated that thing. How did you know, like, this is what we're gonna do, and this is how we're gonna handle the backlash?
So, I bet a lot of people don't know, but back then I did everything for Travis. So I managed his socials, I was his assistant, I did everything. So it was twofold. One, can't take glory away from God.
Right.
God, he prayed about it, God told him to do it. So when God give you a word, whatever outcome from that happens, it's good.
Right.
So if he lost everything, he was intended to lose everything, right? But clearly that's not what happened. So we didn't do it. And God told me one thing. When I got the call from the White House, I was actually on the toilet at my house. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I was on the toilet. He said, do not negotiate the rate. He said, whatever they offer you, just say yes. And I'm a shrewd. So we said,
absolutely.
It's like asking me not to think. Like, he told me not to negotiate. So when you see all these stories about this person got $1 million, this person got 100, this person getting 900,000, all this, I'm sitting here like, we just got 20 grand. That was what Travis was going out for then. We did it for his normal rate, his normal fee, normal travel. That's it. We didn't get paid a whole lot to do the inauguration. We literally, God told me not to negotiate. They literally, this is what they said to me. What do you typically go out for? And I was like, shoot, we go out for 20, 25,000. It's done. That was it. And so I think because I listened and did what God said, that's why Travis ended up being unscathed. We did one interview with TMZ. That was it. He didn't do it to be famous. He did it because God sent him there.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people, and not to speak, because I know Chrisette been talking about why she got all the backlash and all that. I can't speak to her. I can't speak to why she went. I don't manage her. But at the time, I told him, the black church is the most forgiving thing there is.
100%.
First off, everybody know I'm a Trump voter, regardless how y'all feel about that. So I was supportive of it anyway.
Okay.
And beyond that, he's the president.
Right.
So you honor the president. That's in the Bible. You honor the kings and queens of whoever they are. So I thought that for him, it was a thing to do because it was going to bring notice and attention to a space at that time.
Right.
We had, I mean, gospel was, it was doing its thing, but I thought it could go better. But also, I deleted every negative comment that ever came. So that he never saw a negative comment. He still to this day has never seen a negative comment. And I stayed up all night, probably 6 o'clock in the morning. I would delete every single negative comment that came through. This was before they had keywords. Now you can hide words.
Right.
This is before that. You couldn't hide nothing back then. You had to literally go delete them all. And so I think really and truly it broadened his audience.
Absolutely.
I think that was the beginning of what I call the brown worship or black worship.
Yeah.
You had songs like Made Away, Break Every Chain, you had You Deserve It. I think that kind of ushered in that next piece. But all in all, I mean, nobody was happy about it. The publicist at the label, she gave me an earful. Aaliyah, shout out Aaliyah. She wasn't down with it. But for me, I thought it was something he should do. I really did. I was one of the few people that thought, to a point, his pastor, when you're in the pastoral realm, pastors have pastors. His pastor called him, and I was on the phone. We talk about this sometimes. His pastor was like, he was getting ready to go on stage. I said, if you're not going to tell him something from God, if it's something personal, then I'm not giving him the phone. And he said, you're not going to give Travis the phone when I call? I said, I'm not giving him the phone. So if you're going to disagree with God, I told him, I'm not going to give him the phone. I never let him get the phone. And we ended up going to do the inauguration.
Oh, my God. You told Travis's pastor that?
Yeah, I did. God told me to say it. It wasn't from me. It was just like, there's moments. When in the Bible, I can't remember, I think it's John the Baptist's dad, and he kept speaking against his wife getting pregnant, and he muted him. He muted him. There's moments where even the best people have to stop talking. That was her husband. So
that's good. Y'all clap it up for that right there. That's a bar. There are times where you got to mute people because they will literally get in the way of you doing exactly what God told you to do.
Absolutely, because what God asks us to do don't sometimes look right. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? If I want this building to fall down, I tell us all to go walk outside around it 7 times. Y'all gonna look at me like I'm crazy, but that's how the wall of Jericho fell. You know what I'm saying? It looks crazy. He built the ark in a drought. You know what I mean? Like, it always gonna look crazy what God asks you to do, and you're not gonna have the supply for it. That's how you know it's him.
Yo, that's so good, Norman. That's so good. And what was the turning point that you made when you knew that something different had to happen to resurrect or reshape the Christian/gospel industry? I
mean, I'm gonna be straight up. I knew it the first day. It was stale. There was no infrastructure, I shall say. So when I looked at Christian music versus gospel music, everybody had a manager, not a homegirl, not an auntie. Everybody had an agent.
Right.
They didn't go church to church to church. They toured.
Right.
They had infrastructure. And so when I came in with Travis, he had Monica as his manager. He didn't have no agent. There was no touring opportunities. They was going church to church. They was making good money going church to church to church, but I knew it wasn't sustainable.
Okay.
Because this is the thing about when you do church gigging. Churches only need you if their worship team sucks. And as time goes on, talent was increasing. Access to talent was increasing. So now a pastor can go on Instagram and see somebody that can sing, and why I can pay him $90,000 a year. Why I'm gonna keep paying people $25,000 every weekend? Right. When I can pay one dude to get up here, I can pay Todd once. He'll get up here and kill it every week. We're gonna put together an amazing worship team. I remember saying, this way of making money not gonna last. Because as churches went more towards worship music and the pandemic showed me, once everybody learned how to stream, it was over. Because now everybody needed good worship. Right. You had to entertain people at home. It never came back. The only church that still be bringing people is the church in Detroit, Triumph. That's it. That's the only church that still bring people. And I think he just likes it. He doesn't have to. He can hire anybody. So, that's 9 services. That's a lot, but
but they pay good though.
They pay good.
They pay good.
But that's what I'm saying. So what I noticed in the marketplace was nobody was capturing content. So me and Travis had done this show in Africa. There was 1 million people there.
Yes.
And
the experience, right?
The experience. I literally said to him, bro, we should have captured this. He's like, what do you mean? I said, Travis, when I say to people, like right now I'm telling y'all, Travis performed in front of 1 million people. Everybody has a different idea in their mind what they look like. You probably see a room with 1,000. Some people literally see a room with 1,000 people and say, wow, that's a lot of people. Right. When you see 1 million people singing somebody's song. That's like when Chris Brown went to South Africa. He had 300,000, 100,000. Travis performed in front of 1 million people. I was the 1 million.
That's crazy.
1 million people. And they were singing his songs word for word. I said, if we show this, people gonna think you larger than life. So we came up with this campaign called Travis Green World Tour. We I hired Kayla Madonna. Y'all know Kayla Madonna. You know the red hair girl? You don't know Kayla?
I don't know Kayla.
She from Atlanta.
I don't know.
She red has to take photographs all the time, photographer.
Okay.
So I hired her as a videographer. I said, you gotta learn how to do video.
Okay.
So Kayla was my first employee ever. So we took Kayla all around the world. They went to Dubai, we went to Antigua, Anguilla, we went to Jamaica, Trinidad and Tobago, Lagos, South Africa. I took him everywhere. And we took a camera and I routed it like it was tour, put a flyer up called the Travis Green World Tour, and that was the start of my marketing company, the ICO Group.
Yeah.
So the ICO Group is really what I built to fix the holes I saw in gospel.
Got you.
That's what it was. It mainly was around content creation. There was no Dillons when I started.
Right.
There was nobody in this space doing content. So we was the first people, we shot videos for every song, and we shot content wherever we went.
Yo, that's crazy. So let's go here. What was the transition like from going from Travis to Mav?
Okay, now that was crazy. So Travis had been on this run. We had 5 Grammy nominations back to back, number one after number one. We had did sold out tours. And I think I took on 2 more clients, J.J. Harrison and Israel Houghton.
Okay.
By this point. And I think in any relationship, especially when you family, it becomes this navigation of egos. You know, I'm the rising star exec, he the rising star artist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think in gospel for a long time, it was like one manager, one artist. So like Ty and Kelvin, or Kirk and Ron, or you knew when you seen somebody, you knew who their manager was. You know, it was like frickin' frat. You know, that's how it was. What's his name? Ricky Dillon and I can't think of the other dude's name. What's his name? Who? No, it's not Ricky Dillon. Kip.
Ricky Dillon, I can't.
What's the little dude now? I can't think of his name either right now. But you knew it. It was like this symbiotic relationships. And I modeled myself after Scooter Braun. That's what I saw. When I come in anything, I'm not comparing myself to what's elite in that space. I'm comparing myself to what's elite.
Period.
What, period?
Yeah.
Just period. So the best run management company I thought at the time was Urban Asoff and Scooter Braun. Urban Asoff is full stop. Scooter Braun had, SB projects. And that's what I believe was necessary in gospel. So I wanted to build this organization. So that's why I started hiring managers to work with me.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was the pathway to success. And so during this time, we moving, the pandemic hit, my marketing, nobody's moving around.
Right.
So you gotta find a way to make money.
Right.
Maverick was the only one still doing things, and I got lucky. There was a clubhouse where everybody was talking junk about Maverick.
Yes.
There was a clubhouse,
I was on that.
all the execs was talking junk about Maverick, because I didn't start Maverick. I bought into it. But I knew the kids. Chandler came from my church. Dante used to sing with Travis. Aaron Moses was our keys players. I knew the kids. And so I knew the owners because I met them in London. The way people were talking down on them and what they had done, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I really thought that.
It was unwarranted.
Beyond it was unwarranted, it was short-sighted.
Gotcha.
Like, it was really short-sighted. If you were looking, like, people look at now. So, like, people are looking at right now, and they see gospel right now. I see it 5 years from now. Like, not where it is, but where it's going. So you have to look at what is bubbling. And so what you saw under the surface bubbling was churches had stopped singing traditional gospel music.
Right.
And the churches that were growing were singing worship.
Okay.
So what I knew, because I had worked in the church, was that when we redo the big worship songs, like if you see Todd do It Again,
right.
That's an elevation song, or you see him do Goodness of God,
right.
It feels different than when Jen Johnson does it at Bethel,
right.
Than when Chris Brown does it at Elevation.
Right.
And so what I saw in Maverick was the perfect storm. You had black kids with, respectfully, white writers,
right,
and producers So they were training them not to oversing, to sing it, to be singable, and also they were making content during the pandemic when everybody wanted God. You know what I mean? And they were great songs. It wasn't like, we gonna get over it, we gonna get over it. They were making music that resonated with people because the reality is we didn't grow up like our parents.
Right.
I grew up with a two-parents household, both of my parents doctors. I don't know nothing about no struggle, no disrespect to anybody that does. I ain't grew up on no food stamps in the hood.
Yeah.
So my kids can't relate to, like the way Never Would Have Made It hit my grandma don't hit me the same way.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? The way it's different. We relate to a different story. We relate to our struggles today, and I'm not speaking for everybody, I'm just speaking to the general young black kid. Our struggles today are more internal than they are external forces. Yes, there's still racism and all that stuff exists, but, we getting up, going to work, the bills is paid,
right.
We got the cars, so like a song like, if he dresses the lilies, it's like, dang, God will keep me fly. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's a little bit different. Like now, it's like, promises, it's like those songs were resonating when it's rest on us. It's like, it's more about the presence of God. It's more vertical than it is horizontal.
Right.
And so what you got with Maverick was you got the type of music that was expanding and the best talent. And you put those two together, and I was like, shoot, the solo artist thing cool, but these jokers can fill arenas. I saw it then. I knew God had gave me this vision of worship music filling arenas, and I always thought it was gonna be somehow, because the reality is, a lot of people don't know this. We were gonna do a group called Undivided with Travis and Israel, and they were gonna run it, and we were gonna put these artists together very similar to Maverick.
Okay.
This was it's 2017, Maverick started in 2018.
Wow.
But we couldn't work it out for various reasons. But if you look in the notes in my phone, you'll see we had these names, and Chan was one of them. What's the dude name he's from Arizona. Oh my Lord, white worship leader. Can't think of his name. But the fact of the matter, what I'm saying it for is, God was putting collaboration in the earth. Mm-hmm. And what you saw with Maverick is you saw this collaborative effort, you saw this thing, this ethos of, we gonna disrupt this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And for me, the transition was, I stopped working at the church, the pandemic had hit, marketing was what I had. I owned all these cameras, I had this big company, we were doing marketing for Lifetime, BET, and all of this. And I basically just went, I was flying to Atlanta to meet with Tony and JJ. I ain't even telling the whole story the way it should go. So I'm gonna back up. We got a little time.
Yes, sir.
God dropped them on my heart in my office in June.
Okay.
Earlier that year. And he told me just to call them. Call JJ and Tony. So I was like, all right, cool. They never answered the phone.
We have to tuck into this. If we should continue this, then you have to let us know in the comment section below. I don't know about you two, but this was a good conversation. It's good I feel like this is very insightful to hear this sort of stuff. I'm just saying that just as a side note, but what do you guys think?
It was very kind of personable, basically. We're seeing a lot of behind the scenes. We're seeing a lot of the realities, the thought processes of, I can't remember what his name was now, but there's just his journey, basically. And the key thing for me that I guess stood out for me in that whole video is just how much he was led. Listen to his narrative, listen to his account, listen to his story. He seems like he was like the Lord, even just breaking into something there, which again has me hooked. I'm always interested to observe how the Lord leads different people, how people obey, disobey, how people engage, and to see the outcomes. A long time ago, I was young, I used to say that one of the best feelings in the world is to hear God minister to you and then follow through and see the outcomes of that thing. So I think that maybe that's one of the things that really hooked me in the whole journey. I never knew him, and he was related to Travis by obviously as his in-law. There was so much in there. Like, I wanted to stop a couple of times just for us to cut in, but there's a lot there. But I definitely need to watch the rest of that. So it was a lot though. It was a lot. It's amazing how we talk about this from time to time. The Lord really works a lot of things from behind the scenes. We're hearing really how a lot of the success that he had himself, and I guess other things he's going to talk about with Maverick and other things, God was preparing him for in advance, and he was journeying that journey along the way. A lot of sacrifice, a lot of selflessness, a lot of humility in different places, different spots. Obviously, I don't know him, don't know his life, but from what he shared just there, so there was a lot, man. There's so many takeaways in that video, man. So many. There's a lot.
Ben, what are you saying?
Yeah, I don't know. It's quite interesting because I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I guess the way I've oftentimes seen or perceived I guess these like artists, and I feel like there's the way that I thought about it anyway. Maybe I could be absolutely wrong, but there's more of like a God focused. I've always kind of viewed it that way. Do you know what I mean? This person was called to sing and so on and so on. I guess from what I'm getting from him is like a lot of business. I guess the challenge that I'm getting is that saying God is putting this in his heart. Do you know what I mean? Not to challenge that fact. He might be absolutely right, and that's probably where my cognitive dissonance is probably kicking in. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I guess it's a really interesting conversation because I know that God is a God of order. So it seems as though he's bringing a lot of order in terms of like how he's trying to manage like the music business, at least the gospel music business. But at the same time, it's just like, all right, cool. So there's certain things that I've seen from Maverick City that I somewhat disagree with.
100%.
That's probably what's causing the friction in my mind. Because on the one hand, it's like, yeah, like you're right. Like God is a God of order, and it seems like you're approaching things is in an orderly fashion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which relates to God's character. But then at the same time, it's just like, but the individuals which obviously we are not all perfect, of course.
Yeah.
And God has always used imperfect people to get what he needs to get across. So yeah, like there's many points that I agree with, and there's many points I'm questioning, but it might just be down to like where I am.
As you're talking as well, I'm thinking about things. What comes into my heart is David. Like obviously David was anointed by God. God set him apart for like a work. And like we see this, bro. You know, we talk about this all the time about how children of Israel are fickle, people that the Lord calls them stiff-necks, you know, so many times. And the reality is, you know how we are. Just because God appoints us to a position doesn't mean we'll always handle that position accurately, correctly, or with wisdom. So David was called, and obviously we start to see, let me just say it in short, it was evident in David's life that women was an issue that he had. And he had to deal with that issue again and again through his life for whatever reasons, to the point that even if it impacted his children, next generation. I hear what you're saying in a big way, just in terms of the challenges that we all know and have seen and have a distaste with some of the characters, the people, the experiences, and the things that have been published about Maverick. Yet I can never knock the fact that their music has blessed a lot of people, shifted a lot of things, helped a lot of people. So we have to just kind of, my position is that we have to kind of balance it, because God will appoint a person. That doesn't always mean that person will handle the position of appointment, their appointment well. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah. I guess like even just looking at it like that, it does make absolute sense, because like, I mean, if God's going to use me to do something, I already know I'm not perfect. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and this is where God is just God, isn't it? God is just obviously like the ultimate decision maker, because there might be something in it for you, but just because you don't get what's supposed to be in it for you, it doesn't mean the person who you're meeting won't get what's supposed to be in it for them. Do you know what I mean? So I guess in that sense, it's like, okay, cool. So I guess, mate, do you know what? All in all, this just speaks to how big God is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I feel like it just speaks to that, because it's like take for example, Pharaoh. Pharaoh was used. Do you know what I mean? Pharaoh was used. So
that's good.
I don't know, man. Like Joseph's brothers were used to fulfill a purpose that God desired to be fulfilled for His people. So I guess this is the reason why I don't know. Like I guess I oftentimes just come to a point where I look at something and it looks so foreign to me And I guess maybe I could just kind of hear in my heart, like, just, you ain't God, so you don't know what's what. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So I guess it's quite humbling in that sense. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's a good way to see it, because a lot of people won't humble themselves enough to kind of get to those realizations. Like one of the things you said, Ben, which I think is interesting, was you said you've always felt like gospel music or gospel artists come from a certain perspective, and now, like, this guy is talking a lot about business and the money side of it. And the reason I want to go into that is for two reasons. But the first reason is because a lot of people, from my understanding, I didn't like do deep dive into this, but a lot of people, I believe, had a similar approach and mindset that you did. That's why I think this podcast conversation got a lot of negative flack, and Maverick didn't come out in a good light, apparently, because of this. And that was one of the reasons why I was like, oh, it'll be good for us to have a conversation about it, because let's actually first hear what is being said and then make judgments. And so that's one thing, obviously. So, bro, like, a lot of people, from my understanding, had a similar approach to you and a similar mindset. And I think, like, especially in the day and age we live in, it's a very Christian, quotation marks, for those of you who are listening and not watching, like, it's a very Christian response. And I think for me personally, the reason something like this hits me deeply is because obviously you guys know I'm into business, yeah? And I feel like, not even I feel like, let me just give you some of the timeline. I think that will help understand what I'm trying to say in regards to this conversation. So I started a business in my early 20s. It did well. And after a few years, it fizzled out. And it fizzled out for one major reason, right? I felt like, and because I felt like this and believed this, I didn't really action it out. I didn't feel like I could be like a believer. I didn't feel like I could be who I really was, basically. Like the kind of person anyone who's close to me knows, like, I kind of am on a day-to-day basis, like, just how significant God is in my life, basically. I didn't feel like I could be that person in that business. And it basically just came to like a fork in the road, as they say. It's like, what way are you going to go? And because it was that significant to me, I was just like, okay, cool. I went the way of God, basically. I was just like, you know what, I need to just, like, whatever. And then it's like, in recent years, I've got back seriously into business, and I've gone from where I was before to, like, you know what, God has to be the center of this business. Like, what I'm doing, God has to be involved in it. And it's like, the reason I'm saying that is because for a long time, I felt like God and money didn't mix. And I feel that is because of just like popular Christianity, like those two things don't mix. Now, I may have never like said it as simple and as clearly as that, like, even to myself. But when I analyze myself and thought about it, like, what is really the problem? It's like, okay, cool. Like, you really just think these two things can't mix. And because they can't mix, you have to pick one. And in your mind, you're like, okay, cool. Obviously, pick God over business, or pick God over money. And it's like, God just took me on a journey over time. It was just like, listen, I don't just want your spiritual walk. I want all of you. And one of the things I've been thinking about a lot recently is, which I think has helped me drastically, is the first great commandment the Bible says is love God with everything, heart, soul, mind, body, strength. And so many of us know that, but when I think about that more and more, I'm like, business has to be a part of that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you're supposed to love God with everything, that means everything that you do, God should take ownership, rulership over. There should be no error in your life if you're following that commandment where God is left out. And when I apply that to business, if I was in business, I should have never been saying to myself, these two things can't mix. I should have been more like, okay, cool. Lord, give me the guidance and the instructions. How do I take these steps? How do I move forward? How do I make money from this avenue, from this venture, in a way that glorifies you. I weren't searching, is the best way to say it. Like, I weren't searching for those sorts of scenarios all those years ago. And because I weren't searching for those scenarios, what happened? I didn't get those scenarios. And I think because a lot of Christians think about like, oh, these two things can't mix. They don't think about it enough to be like, okay, Lord, what do I do? How do I do it? It's just this, like, these are two different pathways. So I understand, like, on a deep level, because I've lived it deeply in business, like before, seeing it and knowing, like, it feels weird to talk about God and to talk about money in the same way, in the same breath. Even though, like, I'm saying this from my former perspective, now it doesn't really make sense to me. I get why so many Christians think this way. But at the same time, if you really just stop and think about this, it makes so much sense that God should be at the forefront of the business activities you are doing if you are in business. It's like saying I work a job and I'm not going to take involvement of God. It's like we've got so many examples. Like, look at like Daniel, for example, in the Bible. He's in a secular environment, but he's being led by what God has instructed him to do. And he's excelling. And Joseph is the same. Like, Joseph's in this environment, it's a secular environment, but he's still being faithful to God. It's funny enough, I was actually reading it this morning in Genesis, where Pharaoh summons him to bring his dream, to interpret his dream. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you the dream. God's going to give you the interpretation. And like, I chuckled when I read it today, because I was like, imagine, you're saying this to like this secular ruler, the leader of basically the known world of the time, and you're just like your walk with God is at the forefront. That's what it needs to be like. And I think there's so many of us today who we're in situations like, how many Christians pray for financial breakthrough, but they don't at the same time actually look to God for the solutions to make those monies. They're praying those prayers, but still looking to their job or looking for whatever. So it's like one thing which I did think was funny, you know, when he was talking about the walls of Jericho falling down, it's like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, it makes so much sense. You want God to take a city over for you. You want God to do something in your life, but are you going to wait around and look for his method of doing it in that particular scenario? Yeah, I've been speaking for a lot, so I don't know. Like, you guys, let me know what you think about some of the stuff I've said, etc.
It's gonna have to be continued, bro. This is a solid chat. That video was super long. I think we got so much to tuck into. You used to make a lot of good points there. I think there is definitely a disconnect between a lot of people in church and the concepts that exist around money and God and how they connect it. I believe there's a lot of wrong teaching that's out there at the moment, and I think ultimately a lot of people are afraid, bro. They're just afraid to touch money because that lie has been perpetuated that, you know, money is the root of all evil, bro. So people genuinely believe that, and the enemy's done such a good job to perpetuate that reality. So people now are so confused, so afraid, so fearful, and there's a lot of wrong teaching that people are not allowing themselves, to get to the place where God actually wants them to be. Where, as you said at the top end, everything they have, God, they give everything they have, their money, their life, their person, and everything. So yeah, man, there's a lot of things, bro.
Yeah, I agree as well. I definitely agree. Just the way I guess, even just growing up, you know, like hearing the whole, like, you see someone who's successful and the first thing your parents will say is that they're successful because they did a deal with the devil and all of this stuff there. So it's just like associating God with money had become an issue, like, for, I guess, a lot of us, like coming into faith, like just thinking in your mind, well, it's almost like I can't serve God and have money. Do you know what I mean? Which is, knowing now, we thank God that we know different, and where we're actually supposed to be in arenas where we're in charge of these things, so that we can use the resources to plug back into the kingdom. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, but it's definitely a conversation to be continued, because it seems like he's still got quite a lot to say as well.
Do you guys think, like, obviously he spoke about Travis Green, then he went on to Maverick, and it's like, I guess one of the big things I took from what you were saying was, he's like, look, their focus was on stop singing songs which people aren't interested in anymore, and or types of music, sing specific types of songs and specific type of music. It's like the question I'm going to pose is like, at what point do you feel like it goes beyond like, I am like seeking God for music choice of like, what should I sing? What does God want me to sing? At what point do you go beyond that barrier of, I'm not just singing songs that God wants me to sing, etc. I'm actually really just like, what do they want? I'll just give them exactly what they want. If this is what they say they want, I'll give it to them. Like, and I guess even a added question I'll ask is it wrong to do that? If you are like, if God's blessed you with a gift, and something like gospel music is typically aimed at Christians, so you're going around to different places, you're singing songs, etc., and you are, because I think Ben mentioned it, like order and structure. Is it wrong to say, look, this is what they want, I'm going to give it to them, this is how I'm going to serve them in that way? What do you guys think?
My thoughts are that there's a balance. I feel as though between the reality of us being instructed to use wisdom in all the things that God requires for us to do, versus us being led by the Spirit, and that being a demonstrable show of our maturity, I think that there's room. I think there's room for us to be led. No, I think the foundation is for us to be led, but there's room for us to take on the view of, God's given me liberty within my gift to write a song or to sing a song. The problem I have, and this was one of the things that the earlier part of that video that I didn't like actually, when he was talking about, and obviously I was waiting to hear him break it down, in his own words, but at the top end, where he was like, maybe it was a bit the little snippet at the beginning, he was talking about people don't listen to sing hymns no more, people don't listen to that. And I think that in terms of business, absolutely, those are the metrics that you monitor and you adjust to. But if we're talking about ministry, and it's funny because Sayers was sharing me a podcast yesterday, I think it was, where one of the actually Maverick people was on someone else's podcast. Maybe we'll chat about that later. And she was talking about how it's not just ministry, it's business. She was going off. And I need to watch that fully as well. But I think the point is that there's got to be a balance there. There is a balance. There's a balance of wisdom, being led and implementing wisdom. The thing I didn't like was when he was like, oh yeah, people don't listen to it, so no one wants that. Of course, we're talking about money and the marketing, that's key. But if we're talking about being completely focused on what God wants you to do, that should be a priority in all cases. And that's the thing I said I liked about the video. So because I think when the video started and I saw him saying that, then he went into the fact that, the Lord spoke to him here, the Lord spoke to him there, the Lord spoke to Travis here, the Lord spoke to Travis there. I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I'm sitting back a bit more at ease, thinking, this is not just about what you think is good for the industry, what you think is good for business, what you think is good for your pocketbook, your wallet, but actually there's a holistic approach to fulfilling God's will that doesn't contravene God's purpose, God's leading, God's direction. He was making a point earlier on about how it looks like it was more about business than anything else. And I think one of the things that really stood out to me was the fact that he's at the gate, the guy was talking about marketing was his thing. Yeah. And now he went from marketing to serving the church, observing the holes that were prevalent, going to a management meeting, observing the market needs that were prevalent. And then it's almost like the Lord used him, if I can say that, to fill in those gaps and ensure that, just think about every life that has been touched by some of the songs that they did on one of these tours, basically. For me, that's a big deal. It's a big deal when souls are being impacted with music and worship that honors the Lord. So this is really, for me, this is really, really key. And the Lord is using that. Well, no matter what anyone says, the Lord is using that. Like we said earlier on, talking about Pharaoh, how God used Pharaoh. So I think we always need to remember that God uses your tools, your skills, your ability. We talk about Bezalel from time to time and how the Lord used him when there was a need to build out the temple, to build out the ark, to build out those things in the beginning. So he was a master craftsman. So the Lord is not looking for people that don't have any skill, don't have any talent, don't have any ability. He's taking that natural, adding his super to it, and we're seeing supernatural feats being achieved in the world. So I think, in a way, I feel like thinking that business would not be a factor is maybe somewhat wrong of us, because obviously we need to understand that God is the architect of business. He's the architect of all that's good. Like you spoke about some of those things before, so yeah, just like a little bit more food for thought anyway.
All right, guys, I know this conversation is getting deep and I'm pretty sure you want us to continue it. Let us know in the comment section below. Until next time, peace.